the journey to get to the place of who you need to become is the thing that allows you to develop the skill, the knowledge, and the wisdom necessary to live in that position and for it to actually be sustainable. All right, welcome to the Fit Vegan Podcast. I'm your show host, Maxime, and I'm the founder and CEO of Fit Vegan Coaching, a company that is on a mission to help 10,000 people get lean, thrive, and reduce their risk of chronic illnesses by 2033 and 1 million by 2050. I believe that having a fit, healthy body and mind is the foundation to living an incredible life, and this is what the show will give you if you choose to listen and implement. Enjoy the episode and have a great day. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan Podcast. Today, I'm going to share my secret on how I've been able to crush, conquer, win all my goals that I've had for the past 10 to 15 years. I've always tried to understand the process as to how I've been able to have so much success in different areas of my life throughout the years. And I just did an exercise at the end of 2023 with my Tony Robbins coach. And it was a little sheet that they asked me to fill out. And it was basically asking me, did you hit your goals? Were there goals that you had previous years that you've hit? Did you create a vision board for it? Did you focus on it constantly? Did you write it every single day in your journal, whatever it may be? And throughout answering these questions, I finally understood my process that I've been doing for the past 15 years. Ultimately, that's allowed me to hit a lot of my goals, and a lot of them came to fruition in 2023, ultimately. And so what I'm going to share with you is something a little bit different that you're going to see people share on Instagram, that they made like a huge vision board and they focused on it every single day. I'm going to share my process. It may or may not work for you, but it's worked well for me. So I thought I owed it to you guys to share it with you as well. So the first thing is that I set a direction, right? And when I mean a direction, I set a goal and outcome that I wanted to reach. So for example, one of them was to, meet Tony Robbins, be a part of his world. One of them was to be debt-free. One of them was to build my own business where I'd have the ability to impact the world. I had certain financial goals. I had relationship goals. I had goals that I want to do for my family, for my parents. And as I set these goals, there was a general theme of where I needed to be in my life from a health standpoint, a fitness standpoint, a mindset standpoint, a relationship standpoint, a financial standpoint, to be able to accomplish a lot of these goals. And so to me, that was a direction, right? That was like the overall sense of direction. There were smaller goals in between them. I'll just use a really simple one, like meeting Tony Robbins. If you're on YouTube, you can see that I have a photo with him at Ivy right behind me. I met him in Hawaii, was able to speak with him, which was incredible. So I had these little goals in between, but overall, there's a bigger sense of direction of where I needed to be in my life. And I know it may sound general, but if you think of the opposite, I could have gone for, I just want a really simple life where I work a job that I really don't care and my life is super easy peasy. I don't care if I don't care about impacting people and I just want to live for me. That would have set a very different direction for my life. But because from a young age, I always had a burning desire in me to create something big that would help impact the world in a positive way. I don't know why. It's always been inside of me, and it burns. That desire to want to help burns. And I've tried to suppress it throughout my life, and it just came back stronger. And so eventually when I decided to start listening to it, things went a lot better for me. But ultimately, I'm digressing. So I had an overall sense of direction of where I needed to be in my life. And the theme was that I needed to be the best version of myself, right? Ultimately, that's what it came down to, right? A lot of goals that we may have that are ahead of us require us to be a different and better version of ourselves in different areas. It could be in health, it can be in fitness, it can be in relationship, it can be in career, it can be in finances, it can be in whatever, all right? But ultimately, if you have a goal in some of those areas, there's a great chance that you have to be a better, smarter, more knowledgeable version of yourself in that area to be able to live in that place where that goal would even be possible for you, right? I don't believe in hitting goals. I think a lot of people aim goals as if it's like buying a lottery ticket and then it'll just happen, right? I don't believe in that. I believe that you have to transform who you are in that area to reach that outcome. And so when they were asking me the process in that Tony Robbins exercise at the end of the year, it was like, did you create a vision board? Did you Was it a list that you had on your computer, on your desk that you focus, or on your phone that you focused on every single day? Did you journal with it? Did you meditate on it every single day, every single week? And as I thought about it, I was like, no, I never really like done that. I think I did like one vision board in my life, and it was cool. Now that I look back, I probably hit like 99% of the things that were on there, but I never constantly had a vision board. I never like had a list of big goals on my phone that I wanted to reach. I just knew that if I continued to improve and become the best version of myself in all those areas, that eventually those goals would happen. And so what I did is I detached myself from the timeline. And I'll be honest, I had timelines when I first started. I had timelines of 2 years to reach specific goals. Some of them took me 10 and some other took me 15 years. But like I always tell a member, you can't fail if you don't quit. And so to me, once I've kind of passed the timeline that I had set for myself, I was like, you know what? Screw the timeline. Hitting the goal is more important for me. So however long it takes for me to hit that goal, then that's how long it needs to take for me to hit that goal. But ultimately, all I care about is hitting that goal, right? And becoming that best version of myself throughout the process. And so I kind of detached myself from the timeline. I had milestones that I wanted to reach, but I detached myself from the final goal, of some of the final goals that I wanted to reach, because I didn't care to hit it within a certain time frame. I just care about hitting that goal. And like I said, some I thought I was going to reach in 2 years, and some of them took me 10 years, and some of them took me 15 years, but they finally came to fruition. So at the end of the day, like I tell that to my parents, like, you have so many goals. I'm like, yeah, but I always win. Like, what do you mean you always win? Well, I'm like, I just don't give up, and eventually they happen. And so even if they took me 5 times longer, I still win. I still reach my goal, right? Just little insight into how my brain works. So I have my little notes here, but ultimately what I did is I set that sense of direction of where I wanted to be in my life, and where I wanted to be and who I needed to live in that place where these goals would even be possible. And then literally what I did is I did not look at a vision board. I did not have notes on my phone. I didn't meditate on it every day. I didn't journal on it every day. I literally put my freaking head down and I watched my feet. And then when I did something in relationship, I would do something. If it worked great, I would do more of it. Eventually, it wouldn't work great. When it didn't work great, I learned from it not working great, and then I tried something different. And if that thing different didn't work, and I would try something different. And if that thing worked, then I would move forward, and I would continue to move forward until that thing didn't work anymore. I did the same thing with my own personal growth. I did the same thing with relationship. I did the same thing with business. I started so many businesses that failed before I started Fit Vegan Coaching. I did so many different things in my finances, in my relationship with a partner, with my parents, with my friends. I did so many things in my health and my fitness, but literally all I did is I put my head down, and as I took a step in a specific domain of my life, I tried something. If it worked, I just did more. I just did more of it until it didn't work. And then when it didn't work, I did something different. Nothing different didn't work. I would try something different. And if that thing worked, then I just did more of it until it didn't work. And that's literally all I did in the past 10 to 15 years of my life. And here's what I would do is I would do that with my head down. I would not focus on the direction. I would not focus on the goal. I would not focus on the outcome. I just had my freaking head down, and I focused on improving myself in all those areas. Literally, even if it was 0.1% improvement, I took it, right? As long as I'm not going backwards, which is not really too much going backwards. If you're just improving 0.1%, you're still moving forward, right? That's why I detached myself from the timeline, because reaching the goal was more important to me than of the time frame, the objective time frame that I had set for myself, right? It's not because I set a goal in 2 years I would reach that goal that I was a failure if I didn't reach it, right? It just meant that I needed more time to become the person I need to become to reach that goal. And so literally I wrote down in my form, I was like, I honestly just put my head down for the past 10 to 15 years, and I focus as I tried things and I improved and it didn't work. I tweaked. Eventually I bumped into building a successful company. Eventually I bumped into being super fit. Eventually I bumped into being debt free. Eventually I bumped into Tony Robbins. Eventually I just bumped into Ivy. Eventually I just bumped into living my dream life. And it was so interesting because it's not like I looked at it and I saw it come close to me. I was like, oh my God, it's coming. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. I was not focused on like shortening that distance from the goal to myself. I was just focused on one step at a time, becoming better every single day. And eventually, yeah, I started to bump into these goals, and I bumped into Tony Robbins, and I looked up, I was like, holy shit, it's Tony Robbins. And I'm talking to him in front of hundreds of people, right? I bumped into like, oh my God, I am now debt free. Oh my God, I met the love of my life and we just got married. Oh my God, I live in Los Angeles. How the heck did that happen? Right? So that's kind of my strategy that I've done for the past 10 to 15 years that have allowed me to be a second degree black belt in martial arts, to play basketball at the college level, to become a bodybuilder, to become a power lifter, to model internationally, to do Ironmans, to cycle from Vancouver to San Francisco, to build a successful company, to have a successful relationship, to have a great relationship with my parents and my friends, to be in the position that I am in today. And I'm not saying this to impress, but to impress upon you what's possible when you just put your head down and you focus on those little things that are going to make you better every single day, right? And sometimes it won't be every single day. Some days are going to be shit. Some weeks are going to be shit. Some months are going to be shit, right? If you've been following me for a long time, you know that I went through supporting my late partner through her breast cancer journey before she passed away. That was 4.5 years of my life where I didn't necessarily take a lot of steps forward in other areas because I was focused on being a caregiver, because that's what was required at the time. But at the end of the day, even if there's a delay of, I say it was a delay, it was a powerful experience, a powerful time of my life. But even if you're not always working on your goals, if you're focusing on becoming a better person, becoming more knowledgeable, more skilled, higher IQ, higher EQ. So there's intelligence, there's emotional intelligence, which I think is really powerful when you're looking to reach goals. If you're always just focused on bettering yourself and moving forward, then there's no way that you can lose. I think the biggest thing that causes people to quit on their goals, and I can just relate this to fitness and fat loss and all that, is when their expectation doesn't match the timeline that they had set for themselves. Like the reality of their timeline versus the expectation that they had for the timeline, when that doesn't match, that's when most people throw in the towel. They go like, oh, screw it, it's not happening as fast as I want to, right? A lot of times is because of lack of compliance, which you need compliance. So when the expectation doesn't match the duration, that's when a lot of people throw in the towel. Like, I screwed it up, it won't happen for me. Well, listen, if you really want that goal, it doesn't matter how long it's going to take you, right? As long as you get the goal, that's the journey that you're on for, right? It's never about reaching it necessarily within a certain time frame, which, we have time frames when people come in to hit certain goals. But here's the reality of it. We have people that come in and they're just ready to crush it. They're going to do their workouts. They're going to stick to nutrition. They'll get incredible transformation. And the people that come into the program that are not so compliant with the nutrition and the workout. But I don't care, as long as they continue to show up. Some of these people, it takes them just a little bit longer to reach their goal, which ultimately they still got the thing that they wanted to improve the quality of their life and the duration of their life. That's the thing that actually matters, right? So I'll just go on a little tangent when it comes to compliance. If you're 100% compliant, your transformation will be faster. If you're 90% compliant, right, with your training and nutrition, your transformation will take a little bit longer. 80%, a little bit longer. 70%, a little bit longer, right? It's when you get to like 50% compliant, then you're kind of going back and forth and you're stuck, right? Because you're making 50% right, 50% in the opposite direction. That keeps you in the middle. If you're 50% on, 51% on track, 49% off track, over a very long period of time, you will be able to reach your goal, right? So ultimately, that's why we ask our members, like, hey, if you can be like 80 to 90% compliant, you will reach your goal fast. But the less compliance you have, the slower the transformation is, right? And at the end of the day, I'm always upfront with people that work with us. I am not a magician, right? The responsibility falls on your shoulder because you're the one that has to make that last little bit of effort to get an incredible transformation. And I'll put it this way. A lot of people laugh when I say this. Let's just say you were able to hire me to go to your house and monitor you 24/7. I could shove kale down your throat. If you choose to not swallow the kale, you did not consume kale, right? I could fold your body in half and it's not a crunch until you choose to contract your abs, right? Like the final word is always yours, right? And so you always get you're the deciding factor on whether you're going to do the work or not. You can have an amazing plan and training and nutrition, accountability and education and group calls and all the stuff that we offer our members. But you have to make that last little effort to contract the muscle, to swallow the food. Like that's on you to do that, right? And I wholeheartedly believe that. Sorry, if you have someone to live with you, to do that for you, it's a huge crutch, because guess what's going to happen when that person leaves out of your house? They can't live with you forever. Eventually you want to have your own personal life and your own family. And eventually that person wants to have their own life as well. So what happens when this person doesn't live with you, right? You can't handle yourself because you're so reliant on someone else. I'm trying to create self-sufficient people in the program, right? And so I need you to be able to be compliant and disciplined enough to do your workout, to do your nutrition, which we can help you develop the tools and strategies to do that. But again, that final say is yours. If you don't flex your abs, doesn't matter if I fold you in half. It's not a crunch, right? It's just me folding you in half, right? So end of the tangent. Let's come back to the main point. So here's the thing that I invite you guys to try for this year. So if there's a goal, whether it's fat loss, whether it's health, whether it's business, whether it's relationship, whatever it may be, if there's a goal that you want to reach and you haven't reached it before, maybe try this strategy. Set the direction, right? We want to go towards having a six-pack, being healthier, reversing specific chronic illnesses, losing 50 pounds. We want to work towards having a better job or finding a partner or having a better relationship. Set the direction and then focus on it. Put your head down and focus on improving every single step that you take towards that goal, right? Obviously, the more goals that you have, the slower some of the process will take, just because you're focusing on more things at the same time, right? I'll use another analogy to kind of explain how focus works. If you have a really bright light that is shining everywhere, right? Well, it won't be as strong of a light because the spectrum of it is all over the place, right? It goes around the light bulb, for example. There's light everywhere. So it will be bright, but not as bright as if you condense all of that light into one laser, right? That laser will be so bright and will be able to burn through everything. So that's kind of how I see focus and attention when it comes to goals. If there's a bright light and you're spread everywhere, like it'll be bright, but not as bright as you would want it to be. If you condense all of that light into one laser, you will be able to laser through a freaking brick wall, depending on what type of laser it is. You'll be able to like focus on one area, right? Now, the thing is, that's the 100% concentration on one thing. So that's what a lot of people do in their life with, for example, business. They're going to go all in on their business. But then the thing is, relationship suffers, right? Relationship with their partner, with their kids, with their friends starts to suffer. And that's where a lot of super successful people end up getting divorced, right? So because they're all their energy, all their light is concentrated on this one little thing. And hey, if that's a path that you want, if you're single, you can afford to do that. If that's a path that you want, you'll get divorced in the end, and it's up to you. I don't want that, right? So how I see it is like, yes, we can concentrate 100% of energy on one specific goal, which I did for a very long time, but now I just got married, right? And obviously I prioritized Ivy before we got married, but now we want to build a great life together. And so that laser has to open up a little bit. We have to spread some of that focus on relationship, right? On building a future together, on having more impact together. So the more things you focus on, the more the light will be spread out, and you won't get as fast of result as if you're going 100% all on one thing. But when you go 100% all on one thing in the domain of life, other areas of your life are going to suffer, right? At the end of the day, like that's my philosophy of life. I think it served me well up to this point. I've far surpassed the goals that I've had for myself 15 years ago, which I'm extremely excited about. And now it's time for the next chapter of my life. And I'm going to be using a very similar strategy where I just get to put my head down and focus on improving. Because at the end of the day, if you become a more skilled, more knowledgeable, a more patient, a more loving, a more caring, and a better person and a more wise person, so many great things are going to come to you just because of who you are becoming. At the end of the day, being in a certain position in your life comes down to, can you live in that position, right? If you can live in that position, then you're more likely to be able to sustain that after, right? I'll just use the example of money. If you win the lottery, right? I can't remember what the stats are, but they're really high with the percentage of people that go back to being broke after they won the lottery, because they didn't have to develop the skills and the right mindset to be able to keep that money, to make it last and to turn it into more money. But if you've built a business from the ground up, you understand how hard it is to make that money, and you're going to treat it very differently than if you just win a few $1,000,000 in one go and you've never had to handle that much money. That's why most people end up broke. So the journey to get to the place of who you need to become is the thing that allows you to develop the skill, the knowledge, and the wisdom necessary to live in that position and for it to actually be sustainable. And so that's my strategy for 2024. And it's what it's been for the past 15 years and the years moving forward. I just set a direction, I put my head down, and I focus on improving every single step, right? A lot of the steps that I take are not perfect, but I love an imperfect step because then it allows me to know, shit, that wasn't the right one. Let's try this one. That wasn't the right one. Let's try this one. And I found a little cheat code that I'm going to share with you. And it's something that completely changed my life in terms of the speed at which I can progress. You can try to figure out if it's a right or a wrong step on your own. But what I figured out is if I hire a coach or a mentor, he can tell me what step is the wrong one, right? I was like, oh, hey, for example, Vince, one of my mentors, was like, hey, I want to do this step. And he's like, don't do that. Stupid. It'll cost you this much. It won't work and you'll be miserable. Great. You just prevented me from a lot of pain, a lot of money wasted. And then I'll just you should take this step instead, because he's been through all of it for the past 15 years. Right. And so I hire coaches and mentors of people that have had success in the areas that I want to improve. It could be a relationship, it could be health, it could be fitness, it could be finance, it could be whatever, because they'll tell me what's the wrong and right step. And eventually, and I've just had this happen a few times in my life, I get to a place where I'm at the same level of the mentor that I had. And then I go look for another mentor that's even more ahead of that person. All right. And I go like, hey, I want to take this step. Don't do this one. This will happen. Take this step instead. All right. And ultimately, you have to listen to your gut and to your intuition. But a lot of times it just comes down to like your parents tell you not to touch the stove because you're going to burn yourself. Like you can touch a stove and burn yourself and be like, fuck, this hurts. Or you can listen to your parents and be like, oh, this is going to hurt. I will not touch this. All right. That's basically what a mentor and a coach is. It's like the analogy with your parent. They tell you not to touch the stove. That is the wrong step. Do not go and touch the stove, because then you'll learn it like, hey, that wasn't the right move. They told me to do something else instead. So that's my little philosophy on how I approach life. It was really cool to be able to narrow it down to this core concept. I hope it helps you on your journey. And by the time this podcast comes out, I think we will have it'll be about 5 spots open for our Fit Vegan coaching program. So if you want to be coached by me or our Fit Vegan coaching team, we do have 5 spots available. We're going to be starting people for February now because January got fully booked. And so if you're interested in working with us and have an incredible transformation, looking to up-level your health, your fitness, looking to completely shift your mindset in order for you to become the person that you've always wanted to be and for it to actually be sustainable. We don't do quick fat loss. I'm not going to starve you. I'm not going to over exercise you. I want you to have balance in your life, because like I said, if you concentrate that beam just on one thing, other areas of your life are going to suffer. And I wholeheartedly believe that having a fit and healthy body is the foundation upon which you can build an incredible life. And so I want to help you accomplish that incredible foundation so that you can have an incredible life with the people that you love and for yourself. And so there's a link down below where you can book your free consultation call with our team, just to kind of figure out like, what's your goal? Where do you want to go? What are the things that are limiting you? And ultimately see if we'd be a good fit to work together. All right. So check out that link down below and check out some amazing transformation with our members. And hopefully we see you on a call and get the pleasure of working with you. Have a great day. Bye.